Hello, comrades, and welcome to episode 120 of the Postmodern Polymath Podcast. You think it's been how many episodes since I switched? I still can't fucking remember. Anyway, Lyman is eventually going to be here. Him and his goddamn fucking job and his horrible fucking... He's an IT guy. He does network admin, and his company's garbage, and he always has trouble. Anyway, so this week, I'm actually going to have Dixieland Proletariat Podcast. Last week, it was supposed to be this week, and last week I fucked up thinking it was them. So anyway, there are a couple leftists out of the South in Alabama or the hellhole. That in Mississippi, I guess they're kind of tied. Anyway, I'm going to introduce you to Nelson and Tommy.
Hello, hello.
How y'all doing?
Tommy, I was about to say, Tommy's just a circle that spins. He is immortal.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I'm glad y'all. I fucked it up. I finally got y'all, and I fucked up last time.
You scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, when you were like, you sent me the link. I was like, okay, send me the link. I don't have the link for next week. He's like, I'm ready when you. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, time out. You said next week, right? I was like, I'm not ready for this.
Lyman just commented, and he said, "I'm coming. My Southern pumpkin latte heart symbol." So that's how we got it. Apparently, I didn't know, but apparently that's how we roll now.
I miss pumpkin spice lattes. I cannot wait for the fall for that shit. I am basic as fuck. I love pumpkin spice lattes.
Oh my
God!
What are you, like a white girl? I'm like, jeez.
I am. I love my pumpkin spice latte. I got my Ugg boots, and you can fuck right off, Tommy.
Got your Crocs.
Look, man, I like Mumford & Sons.
And your
right?
new,
I like
Mumford
& Sons. And I will hold on hope, and I can sing like this.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
So let's.
Oh goodness.
First of all, tell everybody about yourselves and y'all's podcast, if you don't mind.
That'll be on Nelson. I don't know what we do.
I created it, and I don't know what we do. So it's podcast is Dixieland of the Proletariat. Dixieland of the Proletariat is a playoff dictatorship of the proletariat. So obviously, So I was like, dictatorship of the proletariat. It's like, what should I was like, Dixieland. I was like, Dixieland of the Proletariat. So yeah, it's a playoff dictatorship of the proletariat. Obviously, Leninist term. So basically, I was listening to Pros the Roundtable and Chapo and some other and Rev Left Radio and just some other left wing podcast. I guess you could say Chapo's left wing, but leftist podcast. A lot of Pros the Roundtable, and I was like, it just hit me one day. I was like, we could do this, and a lot of people I saw on Facebook, especially I guess quote unquote left book, talking about the South and had a bunch of questions and didn't really get it. They're like, it's like they were like, this light bulb was going off in their head. Like, we have an entire region of the country that's really poor and it should be revolting, but why is it so red and conservative? And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of getting asked if I'm in the Klan and if I fuck my cousin. So I should tell people that there's a thriving leftist community in the South. And I know there's I keep pronouncing that Trillbillies in Appalachia, and I was like, but there's no deep South leftist podcast type deal just to get the message out that there's people that are in South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana that aren't your good old boys that you see on TV. So I was like, the first two people that came to mind first was I work with Will, the same restaurant, and then Tyler used to work with us, but he got a pay raise and works at a better restaurant. And so we did a few episodes, just us. And then around episode, I don't know what episode we're on, episode 6 or 7, I think it was the one right before the pandemic. I was like, I would love to have Tommy on to give his perspective of vaping, because that's what he's doing right now. His perspective in things, because I know he had ranted about how much the system sucks, and he gives a perspective, obviously, that we'll never know. And so I was like, Tommy, you want to come on? He was like, yeah, totally. So it's 4 of us right now. We were doing a lot of history and then the pandemic hit, and a lot of shit goes down in current events. So it's kind of like a growing, morphing thing of like doing Southern history perspective, and then tying in the current events because of everything that just continues to go on in the South, just on a daily basis, crazy shit. So that's kind of where we are right now. I think we all have a different span of ideology. Like I'm in graduate school for political science, so I read theory a lot. So I kind of have my own line, and then I mean, Will's a Muslim, so he has his own line tied into his religion, and a lot he talks about that in the Iran episode. And then Tyler is just straight up redneck, so he has his own way of coming about to leftism. And I'll let Tommy talk about how he's come to his perspective. But that's basically where we are as a podcast. We're thinking of maybe adding someone else or doing some more stuff, but recording over Zoom is a lot easier, we have found, than getting everybody together, because it's a lot easier to interview people. And so our horizon has broadened, definitely being able to bring people on that have information about other topics, and we can interview people a lot easier that way than having them have to come into the studio, et cetera. So we're probably going to stick this way for a while. We like to get back into the studio because it flows better sometimes that way. But for right now, we're probably going to stick to this format.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm excited about y'all's goals in here. I mean, I'm glad that you look like a fucking bearded hillbilly. That actually helps the cause. Because we don't want you to look like some goddamn Southern hipster motherfucker with an auburn.
I know, right? Oh God! Roll damn Tide. I mean, Will's a Auburn fan, but he's weird anyway, so it doesn't matter.
War Eagle. Okay. I remember when I used to live down there. That used to be Auburn, Alabama. It was fucking just ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Auburn sucks. I like driving in my truck. Auburn sucks, as early Kyler would say from Squidbillies. Tommy, I hear you. I hear you're vaping every time you suck on that thing. I hear your tank.
Do you? I try to turn my mic down. I'm sorry.
My co-host, I hear you. If he ever shows up, knows how to mute his mic when he vapes.
Yeah. My bad. I thought I muted mine.
Ow!
My bad. I'm sorry. I'm just shitting all over the podcast.
I don't.
I'm just a terrible human. You invite a black guy on and he just fucks your whole shit up. And I'm sorry. I don't
trust me. Nobody's listening to this fucking shit anyway. So.
Dude, I just totally zoned off for about 5 minutes and ranted. I don't even know what happened. I kind of blanked out and just started talking.
You did. That's usually what happens.
So,
I kind of zone off, like stare at the refrigerator, and I come back to reality. I'm like, what the fuck did I just say?
I mean, Warren Tidwell actually told me about your podcast too. I met him. God, where did I meet him? A long time. Well, not a long time ago. 3 years ago. He'd come on the show talking about he was in Ghana at the time, and I had him. He was live from, it's kind of interesting. Jude Lane was on there, and that's when he was with the Humanist whatever it was, Foundation Beyond Belief. And I actually got to meet him initially, I think, in Louisville, but when he was giving out pamphlets and shit for Foundation Beyond Belief. And I met him a couple other times, but he's the real deal. He actually gets out and does shit, which people like that I really admire. But anyway, so I gave y'all a listen. You sound like shit, but I said,
Thank you.
I'm going to give him a chance to boost their profile a little bit, because I'm all about, boosting people's profiles when I can, because I'm a super famous podcaster.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor. It's an honor.
I mean, I didn't want to say that, but it really is.
No, hey.
Thank you. We are humbled and gracious that you have let us on your podcast.
We are but jesters in your court.
Okay. But
Tommy may be death metal god, but we're really just jesters.
Death metal god. I like that actually. But
I do death metal covers. You guys should check it out.
You really do death metal covers?
You should check out his Tiger King cover.
Yeah, I do death metal vocal covers because I don't have a band, because no one knows how to play metal in Alabama. And that's the best thing I know. Can you believe it?
Come on.
I mean, they play metal, but it's really just they just smoke a bunch of meth and like play as fast as they can and drop E tuning and just.
Yeah, where are my Satan worshippers at? Like, come on, where are
Exactly.
they?
I got a couple of my friends.
No.
The Satanic Temple, they're everywhere.
Yeah, we're gonna bring back that satanic panic, man. All I'm saying is you bring back that satanic panic.
That is I can't find a good documentary anywhere about that. I've been looking everywhere. I want a good, solid documentary about the Satanic Panic. I want the whole thing. I want Gerardo
90s, right?
Rivera's whole fucking whole thing.
Yeah.
It was all bullshit, all that repressed memories. I want all that good shit.
Hell yeah.
That's what I want. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. So I thought we'd first kind of bond on the whole idea of the South, huh? It's fucking sucks. I mean,
got it.
Where are you from, Chris? I have no idea. I'm just lost.
Well, I'm in Nashville, but I wander to the rural west.
Where did you live though? Where did you live though for 25 years? You told me.
25 years ago, I did live in Montgomery.
25 years.
Oh, you're
where
from
Montgomery?
Montgomery.
Where in Gumptown? Where in Gumptown did you live?
Lyman, are you there?
What's up?
Lyman.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
We were just talking about how the South sucks.
A what?
How the South sucks. You're actually in Maryland, so you're kind of the resident Yankee.
I'm the resident Yankee. Yeah, I'm just a
Maryland
little bit. But being from Arizona, it's like the South had a baby with Florida, and
Yeah.
Oh my God.
it's a thing.
It is.
Nothing as bad as Florida. Trust me.
I mean,
Florida's a
no.
whole
Arizona's pretty up there.
Arizona's pretty fucking bad. I'm not going to say it like takes anything away from the Bama or Tennessee or Georgia or like the northern part of Florida, but
that's the redneck part.
There, or West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Let's just say if the states were on Maury Povich, there'd be a paternity test and somebody would be getting a surprise.
The one good thing West Virginia did do was like break away from Virginia and be like, "Hey, we're not going to fight for the Confederacy anymore. We're gonna join the Union." So it was like, all right.
They got worse.
Yeah, they still went down.
We don't want your flavor of trash. We're going to be our own flavor of trash.
We're going to be our own. We're just gonna switch sides real quick. Y'all are gonna lose. So we're gonna switch sides.
All right, so
we're gonna create our own side. It's the worst.
This is actually the first time.
That's the real third way politics.
This first time we've had 4 people on here at one time, so I wasn't sure.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
I want a 5th person to show up right in the middle like the Brady Bunch.
It says, I mean, hypothetically, it says 8 people.
I like it now because you can see my game collection.
I like the test.
Yeah, you can actually see me now.
Everybody can see how big of a nerd I am.
I could. Well, apparently,
So what is that, Yoda?
What?
No.
What is behind it?
I can't see super well. Yeah, like what's behind you? I see their figures and I see a PS4 box.
These are amiibos, and
wait, amiibo?
Yeah, I have the entire amiibo collection, and I have Nintendo. It's stupid.
You like everything.
yeah, and
we'll talk later about that.
Persona and Aliens Colonial Marines.
Wait, Tommy, you have a gamer podcast, right?
I do have a gamer podcast. It's called Socially Distant. We get about 4 views a month, and
you got 5 now, buddy.
Oh, hey,
yeah, really?
I like it.
Is it on Twitch or what?
It's on nothing right now. I mean, I put up videos on. I'm just lazy. I have so much stuff to do, and I work like 50 hours a week, and I have not done my part in putting it out there. But they are all on Facebook, though.
I have a friend on Twitch who does what you're doing, and that's the only reason.
I could totally, Tommy. You have to start your own Twitch stream. You'd be famous.
I will. As soon as I get fired, I will totally do
Maybe
that.
I could do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that
what do you like to play? Like in general, obviously Nintendo, but
No, actually, I don't. I hate Nintendo. But
no. Wait,
play...
Tommy, can I gas you up? Real quick?
Gas me up.
Can I get Tommy, get this right. So when Gears of War dropped back when we were in high school, Tommy was best in the world.
I was top 5 in the world on Gears.
For
top
what? 5 in the world. Gears of War.
Gears of War?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I don't have any comparison, but NBA Jams in 90, what was it? 92, 93, 94, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I placed number 1 in Arizona for the reason, and then won the Southwest.
Dude, that's dope, man. That's dope. Look at this.
I know.
Just a couple of gamers. Just
a couple of gamers.
Your clan was your clan was number 1, right? Though, Tommy, wasn't your group number 1 or something in the world?
No, my clan never went anywhere, but I was number 5 because my clan sucked.
Did you actually compete and like do things?
We started to
in a serious way.
Yeah, we started to, but like I was playing and people saw my rank and they're like, "Oh, hey, you want to join this clan?" And I was like, "Okay, sure," but this clan really sucked, so they never won anything. But but I kept. Back to politics.
Listen, gaming is politics.
No, first of all, you said the clan. You said clan, and I'm thinking,
gamers rise up.
Yes,
with a C, sir.
And I'm thinking Black Klansman, the movie Black Klansman.
No, I was actually talking about Clan with the K.
No, I know.
Oh, yes. I'm not part of that one.
Dude, I was the Red Dragon. Oh my god.
The exalted Cyclops of the Alabama chapter of Gears of War clan.
Yeah, that was me. All
right,
so y'all want to see my face?
Show us your face, brother. Show us your face.
Oh, you're yeah.
Show us your face.
Oh, Chappelle. Anyway, so yeah, we're fixing to talk about how the South kind of sucks, and but more specifically, how it kind of sucks for like leftists, I guess, or actually anybody of anything even resembling any liberal, anything left of center. Actually, if you want to get real about it, but especially a leftist point of view or whatever.
See, what's really weird is Alabama is so right wing that there is no, like, people think we live in a town where they think Joe Biden is extreme left. It's like,
what? Someone said Joe Biden's extreme left.
Yes, people think that voting Joe Biden is the extreme left, and they think
Biden is right of center.
He is. He most
in any other context.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Corn pop.
But no, they corn pop. He was a bad dude. But no, they love to just, I don't know, they just don't, they don't want anything free. They feel like people's money, like, my money shouldn't go towards illegal immigrants. My money shouldn't help people get well.
While you're sitting on these food stamps and shit.
It's this weird like hodgepodge of stuff, because like it's, for example, like I work at a bar and grill, so sometimes I just like I stand at the bar and I'll listen to like what they have to say, and it's like for a split second you'll get this moment of hope, and then it just like turns hard right. Like I said something about one of our regulars at the bar the other night. I was like something about Jeff, Amazon's taking off. Like, we're all just going to spend our money on Amazon. And one of the regulars was like, fuck Amazon. They don't pay any taxes, blah, blah. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Then like 5 seconds later, they call those orders, the stay-at-home orders, whatever, socialism. And I'm just like, oh, God damn it. It's just like, it's
oh my
weird.
God.
It's just weird. Like, it's this so weird hodgepodge of stuff. Like I could write a paper on it.
Y'all are Montgomery, is that right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we're in.
Okay.
You're in Montgomery. I have family in Selma.
Oh God.
Oh Lord have mercy.
They're white people in Selma?
Yeah, no, they are white people in Selma.
Oh,
and to be fair to them, all of them one of my cousins are Trump supporting racists.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I mean,
What a
which is
surprise.
really weird in Selma, but
So there's
Weird.
Like, there's Selma,
Alabama
there's
with
Selma,
racism.
then there's like,
but it's Selma.
then there's like the outlining white suburb.
First, I'm already surprised that there are white people in Selma, so that's big news to me. But the fact that I guess they would hate black people.
Maybe they're on the edge of Selma. All I know,
No,
I mean,
I
don't know. Most of my extended family is trash.
it's-
With
it's-
the exception of my
it's the city of Selma.
my sister, my brother, my mother, three cousins, and recently in the last month deceased uncle from the COVID. Everyone else is hot fucking garbage. Like Pat Tillman, MAGA, flyer, Confederate flags, or American flags on the back of your fucking truck. Trash.
Which
Yeah,
makes no sense.
those are my
Roll
cousins.
Tide, brother.
Arizona is like if you went to go buy the South on Wish.
Oh my God!
Oh, wow,
yes.
that's a good quote. We're gonna have to write that shit down.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
He's
Really?
good for sound bites.
So, like,
I'll say that.
but I
I
want to
mean,
give.
we
I
had
wanna give
Sheriff
people
Joe for
perspective
17
about-
years.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
Oh my God! You did have that guy.
that was.
I met that
Sheriff
motherfucker many
Joe
times.
Papaya,
That's where
man.
I'm originally from.
So he's black, right? He's just not really tan. Like he's black.
His soul or his skin?
I was mainly talking about his skin. We know his soul is black. He definitely
He
doesn't.
doesn't have one. It's a trick question.
But no,
Fuck that guy.
that guy is so strange. Like he is the strangest guy I've seen on TV. He's so out.
I want to tell you a true story. So I'm probably like 14, going to the mall in the middle of Phoenix, like Middle America Mall, whatever. And you go there, and there's all these sheriff's deputies at a fucking table, right? And have you guys heard of Tent City, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
is when
yeah.
Tent City is they're going to open it, and they're raising money for it by selling the pink underwear that they made their inmates in the Maricopa County prison system, where they're selling it for $12 to fucking children and everyone else as like a propaganda piece. So you can buy your pink underwear, your pink boxers, or you can buy like little patches and all that, and pictures with Sheriff Joe, who's there, right? This is early in like a year to 3 into his residency there, his occupation, I should say. And everyone fucking loves him then. Like everyone thinks it's just Sheriff Joe's selling pink underwear, and like everyone's all about it. And like I have a lot of friends and people I know that have stayed in Tent City. It was fucked up. Like middle of winter out in the desert, it is fucking cold. And out in the summer, you are literally in like military canvas tents. No AC, maybe one fan blowing over a space that could house like 16 people in like 115, 118, 120, 112 degree weather during the day, and then like 103 at night, like after midnight.
Jesus.
Like he's
It's a dry heat. It's a dry heat. That's a dry heat.
It's a slow roast.
Look, there is a difference. There is a difference, but that still sucks.
No. So I'm going to diverge a little. We're going to the South because we got 3 Southerners here.
Eastern South?
Yeah, we're going Alabama South. So we have to bond on this a little bit. So
you're gonna bring up humidity, aren't you?
well, since he mentioned it, I have to go with humidity for a minute. For just a minute.
Yo, fuck that shit. Fuck
Yeah.
Dude, so it's like you walk outside and you might as well just bring a change of clothes
Yeah, all the
with
time.
you because your shit just wet as soon as you walk out the door.
Walk outside.
I was outside. Yeah, I was outside today packing for a camping trip I'm taking tomorrow, and I was just trying to pack up
Already.
the car, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm
It's
fucking
already-
dying! It's so goddamn hot."
It's already
It's
it's not even June yet, and it's already
Yeah.
fucking.
I don't even
Yeah,
want to
what-
think about. I don't want to think about the summer. I don't want to think about July and August. People don't understand. They don't understand.
Stay in
They
the
don't
AC.
understand, man. I have to say,
What if
I
you-
do have to say, I have family that left Alabama and retired in Arizona. And,
Seriously?
My great he's long dead. He was old. He's like in his 90s when he passed. So he's like great Uncle Bill. So he lived in Arizona. He lived in Phoenix, and he would come back and visit Alabama family. And I asked him, I was like, all right, so which heat is worth? He was like, look, it'll be 120 degrees in Phoenix, and I'll be okay. I'll just it's whatever. It's a dry heat. And he's like, but you come home to Alabama, and it's like 110 with the heat index and the humidity. And he's like, it's worse. There's nothing as bad as the deep South in July and August. I don't care what anyone says.
No, honest
hell.
question. Because I lived in Arizona for almost 37 years, and I've only spent, it'll be 2 years that I've been here in Maryland in July. Is it hotter where you guys are than Maryland?
Probably.
Yeah.
It gets
look
pretty
at it
hot
right
in
now.
Maryland though, because my dad used to live up there.
Well, Maryland's like
for the
swampy
summers.
and nasty, just like the South. So
Maryland is actually kind of.
Is it similar?
In the summer, Maryland's not that much. I mean, maybe it's not temperature-wise, it's not as hot, but it's still kind of.
It's pretty humid there, but the heat, the humidity.
Like what's the
So Friday?
What would you
Here
say
you
an
go.
average temperature is there?
I'll tell you right now. I got Weather Channel up from Montgomery, Alabama. Right on Friday, the 22nd, high of 90 degrees, low of 70, and that's
really?
May. Yeah,
We're not even getting. I think we got 80 is the highest I've seen so far.
See, like right now, it's a little weird here in Maryland because it's been breezy and like the high has probably been in like the low 60s, which is
Fuck you,
dude. I took a walk and because
What?
I still have my desert blood, right?
Actually,
So it's like right now in Phoenix, it's like 102, 105, stuff like that. And so I went outside and I was like, I have jeans and this t-shirt on, and I'm just like, oh God, wind.
It's
And
cold.
I'm like, I
No,
put on
yeah.
a hoodie and like go take a walk.
Yeah, it's cold.
I'm a giant
we have
baby.
we have two seasons. It's hot as fuck, and then it's cold as fuck.
I don't know.
So that's like Arizona.
This winter there wasn't much of a
Yeah,
winter.
we never.
Without the
It doesn't really get that cold here. We get like maybe
Until it snows. Yeah, until it like snows in like April. That's the weird shit.
Yeah,
Does it
that's-
snow
Like,
all
it'll get-
over the
it'll get-
state?
It'll like when it like the last time I remember it actually like snowing bad is like what was it 2010 is when we got like 10 inches of snow and they shut down Atlanta because Atlanta got like a foot and everyone freaked the fuck out. Like six inches of snow shut down.
It's
like
over.
the
You can
biggest
forget it.
airport in the world.
I got to be honest. Like 2018, the winter of 2018 was the first time I saw snow fall out of the sky.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
Phoenix
Yeah.
does not get snow because it's in a valley.
Well-
It's
No.
you can go a couple hours north and see it because there's a ski lodge up there up in Flagstaff, Arizona. But yeah, I came out here and I remember shit you not, right? My fiance, she's from Connecticut. She's lived here for about 10 years, 11 years now. And I'm driving back from dropping her off at work because I don't have a car here at the time and stuff like that. And I'm at a light and I see this little thing, like tiny little thing fall on the windshield. And to me, that's like, it looked like a little speck, kind of grayish white, right? And so immediately I'm like, what's on fire? Because in Arizona, there's a lot of like wildfires. So I'm like, ash? And I take a picture of it up close with my phone and I send it to her. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, that's snow. And I'm like,
You're full of shit.
no, you can ask Natalie. I kid you not. She was at
What
work.
the
I
hell
promise
is this?
you. Like I was thoroughly confused because when I see that in Phoenix, that's because there's like a big raging desert fire, 20 miles away on the other side of the
That's
mountains,
super
and
cute,
it's like
though.
blowing into the valley.
That's super cute. Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm so innocent. I'm a
All right,
giant
so
baby.
I'm just not okay. So I'm drilling down since we're not getting anywhere. So there's a couple of things, but there are two specific things
What are we talking
I
about?
want. All right, so we got a black guy, and because we have a black guy,
Who, me?
Holy shit! Where?
Where?
obviously we're going to talk about hip hop. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh wow!
Oh, no.
Tommy,
All right.
I like hip hop though. That's cool.
Well,
We
can talk about
considering my name, I'm the last person you should be talking
no,
to.
I know. But what
Hold on.
yeah.
At the end,
why
I have
is
questions
Body
for you
Count?
about that.
Why is Body Count the best band ever? Why is Body Count the best band ever, Tommy?
Body count. Oh my god.
Body Count. Why is Body Count the best?
All right,
metal band
you open the fucking jar now. So go ahead.
It's got Ice-T on SBU now. I'm a cop killer turned cop.
Ever? Well, first is New Jack City. Don't forget about New Jack City.
Oh
First is
yeah,
New Jack
yeah.
City.
New Jack City is great.
We
It
used to,
is the fucking best.
All right, real
I
quick.
remember rolling in fucking Alabama with my friend who had he was a dude with a mohawk, but he hated police, right? And we were
Like
rolling-
everyone should.
Well, yeah, but he was
black
like-
guy hates police.
No, it was my friend. He's a white guy. He's this fucking
Oh.
redhead dude.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He
And
should
it's
love
like he was rolling down. He's cool as fuck. But we were listening to Body Count. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
That's the weirdest.
Oh, motherfucker!
Smoked pork? What the fuck is happening?
What year was that, Chris?
Oh,
Were you like
Jesus,
frozen
that
in
was-
time?
Ish.
That was way back. That was.
I think
90s.
Tyler did want me to say "fuck the police" on the podcast. He wanted that was his message.
Oh, we're
Everybody
ACAB as
No,
fuck.
fuck the police.
We're ACAB as fucking.
Fuck the police.
I actually like the police.
Who?
I'm
For
just-
what?
Fuck the police. I'm just.
All right, they're fucking Silken. What are their names? Silken Lace.
Herman
Where-
Cain, everybody. Herman Cain.
Oh, I love Trump. He gave me $1,200.
What's that? Candace Owens? She's another one.
Fuck that bitch. God.
No, I saw her on. There was
Tommy went off on her.
there was a black panel. It was about. I can't remember who was.
If Candace Owens was on it, it was not.
It was Nelly. Was it Nelly?
Oh
was
no,
like
you're talking
Band-Aid
about.
Nelly?
I'm here.
Oh, it was Ti.
What?
Ti had
Yeah.
shit on. Yeah,
There was a whole
yeah.
panel, and I can't remember
Yeah,
but they were trying to kind of come to a black. And everybody was like, "Man, fuck this bitch.
yeah.
I'm not
Dude.
fucking with Candace Owens."
Candace Owens is a cunt for pay. That's all she is. She might as well be a whore.
Cunt for pay. Okay,
She
I like
is.
that. All right, so we know how white, because it's fun and stuff for white people to roll in, Alabama, rural Tennessee. Like I go to West Tennessee a lot. It's where towards Jackson and shit. It's fun to wear your little T-shirts. Look, I'm an ally or whatever, right? So, but looking like me, it's a little easier to get away with because I look like them and they're afraid to fuck with me or something. But if you're wrong, I mean, that's one thing. But if you're actually, a black gentleman, such as yourself, sir, and you're kind of just being, not even doing shit, just kind of just existing, right? What's it like? I mean, is there stuff that I'm sure there's shit that we don't see that just happens.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I get followed around a lot. It's really funny. My roommate, he actually dated a black girl for a while, and he's always been down. He's a nigga for real. But he started dating a black girl, and he was like, man, like I really did not notice how, because he would go around and they would get followed. They would get looked at, dogged at. They would get he wasn't used to this treatment. I'm like, dude, man, this is how I live. This is every day. You sometimes you just tend to forget that it happens. It's so normal that if it doesn't happen, then I feel weird. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about like going to the store, just doing everyday whatever shit?
Anything. I'll tell you about one time. This didn't happen in Alabama. We were at spring break in Florida. And we all went into this store. I think it was a Purple Haze store. And I was looking at rings or whatever. These rings, they're the mood rings or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And this lady, like everybody walked out, and this lady blocked the entrance from me leaving. She was like, "Where's that ring you had? Go find it." And so literally, I could not leave the store until I found this ring. And I was a kid. I was like maybe like 16 at the time. So I didn't have balls enough to say, fuck you, lady, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I spent like 20 minutes looking for this ring that I just, had, and I, had it, and I just threw it at her, and I walked out the store. But
that's,
like little shit like that. Like it's just, and it was like a 99-cent ring. A 99-cent ring.
So for like, I don't know what a Purple Haze store is. Is that like a Spencer's?
Yeah,
it's like a trinket, like a souvenir store. Yeah, head shop / souvenir.
Okay, so in Arizona, I guess the equivalent would probably be like Trails or something. That was the big one. Like 2 a.m. They have commercials. It's like girls in bikinis looking like a Wish version of Bon Jovi videos. Like Trails.
The Wish thing worked once,
but no, it's the truth. I listen. It's not. I will send you. I found a late night commercial that I will send you on YouTube of what I grew up like 10 years old waiting for whatever, like, oh, you get to stay up late on Saturday, watch like Three Stooges or some shit. And it's like, I will give it to you and you can appreciate it. Anyway, so
then the Girls Gone Wild. Then the Girls Gone Wild commercial comes on at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, it's like that. It's exactly like that.
I will say this about Alabama. I have not really encountered any like extremely racist cops. Like I've been pulled over during this quarantine a lot. I mean, I'm sure that had me being black had a lot to do with that. But like just outright, blatant bullshit, I have not had to deal with.
Well, do you
I
think?
will be honest.
And I wonder if that's more prevalent in like what the thing about the South was always they didn't hide this shit, right?
Exactly.
You always knew the South was fucking racist as fuck, but it's when you go to like other areas of the. Sorry, that's the cat just fucking falling everywhere. It's other parts of the country you go to, and it's like they try to be slick about it. It's even worse there.
Right. I agree with that.
And that makes it like California, LA, fuck, goddamn, they are
real talk, real quick. My grandfather, my dad's father, was from Boston. He's a 100% Italian. He grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts, from Boston, right?
Which is the most.
And then he moved to that, and then he had eventually after World War II, he moved to Montgomery, whatever. He was the most racist motherfucker I ever met, and like just from growing up in Boston, like people don't understand like that New England style racism, like Boston, Chicago. I think it was like Dr. King even said like Chicago was the most city he ever went to. Like that, it was never institutionalized the way it was in the South from like a historical aspect.
So let me preach to you about Martin Luther King.
Well, and then I got a question for Nelson too, like to go off of that. Continue.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so when you say it wasn't institutionalized, like in what way do you mean? Are you talking about like in a popular way, like to where it becomes a staple and a?
What I mean is like, I won't use my own experience. I'll use like from what black people have told me, older black people. When they were in Montgomery, when they're in the South in general, the below Mason-Dixon line, they knew what to expect. They knew that 99% of the white people that they came into contact with were not going to be their friend. They knew that like that business was owned by the Klan. This area of town is controlled by the Klan. Do not go there. Stay out of this town when the sun goes down. Stay on this side of the train tracks. They knew like don't fuck with the police. They knew like don't like stay in this area and you for the most part be fine. We have our own businesses. We have our own stores. I still run into older black people today that when I have conversations, because I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, is like they'll say that like times are better during segregation because they had their own economy. And they just knew, like they knew what to expect. Now
they kind of had their safe spot to go to, and like knew who they could deal with.
They go to New York, or they go to Boston, they go to Chicago, and they think that it's going to be better, but it's not. And in some ways, it's worse because they don't know what to expect, and they get there and they're facing the same type of racism that they would expect in the South. The South. When I tell people this, when people come, when Yankees, I say Yankees, when Yankees approach me and I hear people say, blah, blah, South, blah, blah, this, I say, look, they're like, "What's the South like?" And I throw it back at them. I say, "Oh yeah, so the South. Don't get me wrong. Nobody get me wrong. The South is still a racist backwater shithole. But for the 10 people that are going to listen to this, the
3 right now, motherfucker. No, 2. It was 3.
Hell yeah, 2. The South is still a backwater shit stain. Like, it sucks. But what I tell people is like, yes, the South has progressed. We've progressed from the foaming at the mouth Klansman style racism to the New England style racism that the rest of the country is used to. So like we have finally progressed to like everywhere else in America where it's more of like a stay in your lane type deal. We like black people as long as they make money for us, or as long as they're not superior economically, et cetera, to us to stuff. It's like a capitalist, yeah, like you said, like a whole like stay in your placeism. So like when I say it wasn't institutionalized, like they didn't have like the Jim Crow era segregation that you see in the South, but they have that informal like redlining, for example, school districts based on neighbor. Like I read a book in college called The Wall Between by Ann Braden. And she was from Alabama, and she ended up moving to Kentucky, I believe, Louisville. And she noticed that like it wasn't racism wasn't as institutionalized there. Like black people could vote, and a lot of times when politicians, it was a very close, hotly contested statewide race, they would pander to the black community to try to get that extra like 15% to push them over, et cetera. But she noticed that there was integrated stores and whatnot, but like black people lived in this side of town and white people lived in that side of town. And she was like, "Why is that?" And they're like, "Well, there's redlining. The banks won't loan us money to whatever, et cetera, to get these houses." And she was like, "Fuck that." So she ended up buying a house in an all white community that was just informally all white. And she sold it to a black couple, and fucking all hell broke loose. They firebombed this house. They threatened to kill her. They shot up the house.
We got better.
All this shit.
Now they just all move out.
Yeah. Now it's everybody. Now
they just leave.
But like, there's the one line I think that really sums it up is I love Phil Oakes. I think he's probably one of the best folk singers of all time. And in his song "Love Me, I'm a Liberal," he hits the nail on the head. He said when he's singing the song from like make a sarcastic song from a liberal perspective as a leftist, he's saying with people, he's like, the line is, "The people of old Mississippi should all hang their heads in shame. I don't understand how the minds work. What's the matter if they watch Les Crane," which I guess was like a talk show or something back then. "But if you ask me to bust my children, I hope the cops take down your name. Love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal." So it's like they'll curse the South and they'll say like, how could people down there be so fucking horrible? But then when, as we see with Joe Biden, when it comes time to really practice what they're supposed to be preaching and push integration, they turn into those same Southerners that they hate. They foam at the mouth. They're like, "We don't want black children coming to my white kids' school," and blah, blah, blah. It's like once they hit that critical mass, there's no distinction between a New Englander and like a ding Southerner. It's like that whiteness then becomes like an intertwined thing between North and South, and they foam at the mouth. And it's like, oh, why are there Klan hoods popping up in Massachusetts? Oh, because they don't want they don't want a black kid going to the all white school.
So
I will say this. What's different about the South than a lot of other places, and Lyman, I don't know if you've ever lived anywhere in the South, but
the furthest south I've been is West Virginia, traveling through.
Gotcha. Okay. So I don't know if you can attest to this, but there's a higher concentration of black people in the South. So you have a lot more of whites mingling with blacks in the South. And I think, I don't know if that plays a part in it, but I feel like people here will I mean, they'll talk to you or whatever. They may have their feelings or whatever. They may hate you on the inside or whatever. But as far as people not avoiding you or doing all of this crazy bullshit, like people are more used to being around black people here than they are in other places in the country.
Oh, Actually, Lyman, tell your story about when you stopped at the gas station.
Oh, geez. Okay, so to preface this, like in Arizona, most of the racism that you see is aimed toward people from Mexico, South America, Central America, stuff like that.
Right.
Honestly, like growing up, you know, K through, the end of high school, I think I probably went to school with less than two handfuls of black people. There was a lot of, like, obviously a lot of white people and all that stuff. And a lot of people from various parts south of the border. So I come out here, and this is actually on the way to meet Chris for the first time in person with my fiance who knew him previously. I know, I was super lucky. So driving from Germantown, Maryland, which is a suburb, but it's not a white suburb out here. There's a lot of people from the Middle East, a lot of various places of Indian, Asian, all that stuff. Like, honestly, in my neighborhood, I'm the minority, but everybody's pretty chill, right? And this is the most diverse outside of, just having Latinx people around me that I've ever been, which didn't even faze me. I'm just like, okay. So we're driving, we get to West Virginia, we have to stop for gas. And I mean, West Virginia is a beautiful place, like the scenery. And this is like within the first 6-7 months of ever being west of Kansas, right? I'd only been to Kansas once. Like, this is all new to me. So we stop at this gas station, and I don't remember what little town, village, sect, whatever you want to call it. And I go inside, and it looks like a decent place. I walk inside, I go to use the restroom, and the toilets one of the toilets are being used, like the urinals are out of use, and somebody's using it. I go into the urinal, and there's like a big fucking like swastika. My experience with this shit is going to like punk bars and stuff like that. You get the skinheads, like American History X type folks rolling in, and it's a problem, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, that's something, just sitting there doing what you got to do. And there's just like all just horrendous shit on the stall wall. And I hear these two white guys come in, and they're like dropping the N-bomb, clearly having a casual conversation that is, to me, not normal, and this is very casual to them. And I hear, I hear them going on. I go, and I'm just like, well, I don't really want to be here. So I'm like washing my hands, and a black guy walks in, and they're still carrying on with their N-word laced conversation. And I'm just like, fuck, like, I don't want to be roped in with these fucking people. Like I understand why somebody would, but I got to go. So I, dry my hands and all this stuff. And the black guy that walks in wasn't even fazed. It was like, this was hearing somebody talk about like a TV show that was on yesterday. He does not give a fuck. He's just doing his thing. And I come out of the bathroom, and I go to Natalie. I'm like, she's looking at the snacks. I'm like, we got to go. Like, we just got to go. And she's like, why? I'm like, and I kind of explain exactly what I just told you to her. And she's just like, oh my God. And so we leave. And that was like the first, what I would consider to me, other than like random douchebags saying some stupid shit to somebody, experience with like what I would consider in my mind, like real, like ingrained racism, where it's like, this is just how it is. And this is just how it is for this other person. And it's just kind of accepted. Like, that kind of blew my mind. Like, that fucked with me a little bit, because I have no patience for that shit.
So is this something that would make sense for you, Tommy? Right? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I've never experienced that. I'll say that offhand. But if I had, I mean, I would definitely say some shit. But when you're so used to it, I guess that guy, he was just like, I mean, I guess it's so used to it. He's just, whatever.
Well, at the same time, I'm like, it's easy for like people to sit, well, I would have kicked their, okay, white person, calm the fuck down. For one thing, you're not in danger of just getting shot randomly they're shooting black people just for just random shit, right? They're
Being alive, having a pulse.
Just
jogging.
Craziness, right? So, it's easy for somebody to sit there and be an armchair quarterback and say you're going to do some shit.
Exactly.
Motherfucker,
yeah, you got to think that guy has to live there. You're absolutely right. That guy has to live there. I mean,
I'll be honest, like, from my standpoint, my first thought, like, there's the two guys off to one side, like, having their conversation while one of them is using the bathroom. And I'm walking in, like, the door is on this side, these other people on this side. I come out kind of in the middle, and the black guy's walking in as there's, like, horrific fucking language going on. And I'm just like, in Phoenix, like, I've seen fights and, like, been around stuff where there's, you know, a couple assholes that say something bad and, like, the wrong person's there and it turns into a thing. And I'm just like, this is so egregious.
Yeah, you're ready for shit to go down.
Yeah, I'm just like, all I know is that guy, for all I know, like, understandably, I'm like, maybe he thinks I'm like those people, and I'm not, and I don't want to get in any shit from anybody.
Right.
Which I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, maybe that's a really stupid and simplistic way to think about it, but I was just like, fuck, like, I don't even know what to do with this. If something had happened, I don't think I would have, like, tried to leave. Like, if anything actually happened, like, between those, like, people, because I've stepped in with things that I probably shouldn't have, just because I'm not cool with people getting, like, fucked with. But at the same time, it's not like a hero complex. It's just something that happened. You can't really plan it. It just happens.
Yeah, it's this kind of this weird. First of all, sorry. Deborah Smith said, "Chris, you're wearing a shirt. Glad you can input that very brilliant comment in while we're having a serious discussion." But anyway,
You fancy.
so
Wait, do you generally not wear shirts?
Sometimes.
no, I don't.
Oh.
I don't
Oh,
wear
okay.
shirts sometimes.
Oh.
To be fair, I don't wear shirts sometimes. But yeah, like Lyman was saying, I mean, it's like it's easy to say you're gonna do. I mean, it's easy for, and I'm not. There are some people who do shit, right? Like Warren. I don't know you personally. Maybe you're out there hitting the pavement, like doing activist stuff, and I actually appreciate and admire people like that, right? Who actually, and then, like I said, they're armchair. And I'm not accusing Lyman of anything, or because I've thought it myself. I'm like, well, what would happen if so and so, you know, if a black person got insulted? Because you hear about it on the news, some random Karen just going crazy and fucking saying all kinds of fucked up shit, right? I mean, it's one thing to see that on the news and say, well, I would say something, but would you really? Would you really? I mean, you know.
I have a quote that is one of my favorite quotes of all time, is from Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan till they get hit in the face. And it's like, it's easy to, like, think, oh, I do this, I do that. But, like, until you're faced with whatever situation, it doesn't matter what it is, like, nobody really 100% knows what they would do. They might know what they would not do. Like, they wouldn't join in on the wrong activity. But no, I mean, like, no one really knows till shit hits the fan. You just, like, try to hope at the very least you might do kind of the right thing.
Yeah.
And not the wrong thing.
Here's a tip. Here's one thing that I've noticed from working in retail a lot. People who do that never get called on their shit. So if you call them on their shit, they'll be so shocked and surprised that they won't know what to do. I swear to God, just try it one time. Just call someone on their shit, and they'll be like, oh. They'll sit the fuck down. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's like the bully thing, you know, when you're like, they get away with it long enough so they get bold enough to keep doing it. But
right.
And I agree with you. Like, for me, I don't have, I don't know, the ego or whatever it is to sit there and say, like, I would just beat their ass. And it's like,
would you?
I don't know that. Like, maybe I would just try to, like, reason with them. Maybe I would, like, call the cops. Like, you know, like, I don't know. All I know is I wouldn't be okay with it, and I'd do something.
I'm
What?
thinking about, I'm like, no, it's like the first thing that popped. Well, I'm going to call the cop. I'm like, what are you talking about? You fucking hate cops. What are you
I
doing?
do, but you know what? I've had people call me on this because I have called the cops a couple times in the last few years, and I fucking hate them.
I call
Right?
the cops once a week. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
But like here's the sad state of affairs is it's like when certain things happen, you can either try to deal with them yourself, which is not necessarily a great idea for a plethora of reasons.
Yeah.
Or you have to pick the resources at hand to try to deal with whatever it is. But you definitely have to weigh it out whether or not it's worth it.
Right.
Like you have to pick your battles. You know, if my son is in danger, like I'm going to do whatever the fuck has to happen to make sure he's okay. Like if I'm just irritated with somebody, I'm not going to call the cops. Like it has to be existential for me, or somebody else that I'm witnessing something and I have to do something. Yeah, I don't know what people's fixation is with calling the cops. It's fucking dirty. Nothing good happens when the popo comes.
I agree.
so
But I have to sometimes. So
I want to, and this is something I was actually talking about today I had kind of gotten in a bit of a, well, it was mostly me talking shit, but about the whole Confederacy.
You talking shit?
Yeah, well, go figure. I have a big thing about hating the Confederacy with every bone in my being, and I will purposely post shit to piss, well, apparently they're my uncle, and he's a good guy. Let me go ahead and just, it's just kind of, I think it's ingrained in a lot of Southern men that it's not necessarily something that like is great. And well, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Fucking racist bastards love the Confederacy, but even among people who think they're not racist, they have this kind of. They even try to fucking gloss over some of the worst aspects of the Confederacy, of slavery. And it's something that that's one of those things that really just piss me off, right? Being a Southern person. And it makes us look bad and it keeps us fucking back in 200 years. Well, 200 years. But you know what I'm saying. So the reason I bring this up is because, well, you're in Alabama. And, so the League of the South is down there. I know. I think they're a neo-Confederate organization. Am I right?
No. What is that?
League
Yeah.
of the South.
So I can. Do you mind if I take this
No,
one?
go
Tommy?
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, you
Um,
sorry.
So no, yeah, because okay. So just to backtrack a bit, when people talk about like hate groups in America, right? So like there's like Proud Boys, League of the South, the Klan, Nazis. So like in the I'm gonna drop a number of books that people should definitely read, and one of them is Everything You Love Will Burn: The Rise of White Nationalism in the U.S.
Ooh.
The guy's name is Vegas.
Ooh.
I have his business card. I forgot his last name. He followed Matthew Heimbach for like 2 years through like Matthew Heimbach's rise in the Traditionalist Workers' Party, and
let's wait.
and
who's my sorry? Who's
Yeah, I was about to ask. I don't know that name.
so Matthew Heimbach was the leader of the traditional. He was the leader of the Traditionalist Workers' Party. They were a fascist party that was gaining power in the Rust Belt. And at its peak, he formed a coalition with the National Socialist Movement. What he was doing is he was trying to go around and unite all the different hate groups. Like he would go to Klan chapters and rallies and League of the South and other neo-Nazi organizations, National Front, and like they formed like this National Front, like under the Traditionalist Workers' Party, this like right-wing bloc, and they were gaining power, and it culminated in like Charlottesville and then like Trump's victory, et cetera, whatever. And it all came crashing down when he fucked someone's wife in the Traditionalist Workers' Party, and it imploded in this like trailer park brawl, and the hell shit got taken down. It was beautiful. But what people don't understand is like, and I got to talk to the author Vegas. His name is Vegas. He's from Norway or I think, and he moved. He's an author and a writer in the States. And when I read the book, and from what I had heard before, just talking to him, what a lot of people don't understand is like neo-Nazis and Klansmen do not get along. Like people think there's a lot of infighting in the left. There's just amount of infighting on the right, because you would think that like neo-Nazis and the National Socialist movement and the Hammerskins and those folks would get along with the Klan. You would think that they have like overlapping ideology, what they do, but like what this weird thing is that Klansmen are more of, they want to see themselves as like gentlemen almost, and they're like, my grandpappy fought the Nazis for America, like they're the bad guys, but like even though we agree, but it's like an American thing, not like they see it as like a foreign outside agitating ideology, whereas like the Klansman, League of the South, Confederacy type shit is like an American institution to them. And they're also, the Klan is very Christian, they're very Protestant organization, whereas the National Socialists and Nazis are more atheist or like into like Gnostic stuff or whatever. So they clash in like religion, and they clash on like ideology when it comes to that. So like in the South, you won't see like Proud Boys, or like you see like some like Identity Europa stuff like in Birmingham, like in the biggest city. But what you see is like this neo-Confederate lost cause myth bullshit. Like my dad is I grew up like my father is fully immersed into this lost cause myth, and the South was right, and the war was not about slavery, it was about taxes and tariffs and et cetera. It was the war of northern aggression, et cetera, whatever. They were black soldiers that fought for the Confederacy.
Is that what the lost cause is? The whole whitewashing.
So there's another book that everyone needs to read. The author unfortunately just recently passed away a few years ago. His name is Bone Kemper III, and he wrote two books. A book about three, I think maybe like three. He's a Civil War historian, and what his thing is debunking the myth of the lost cause. And there's two books that I have. One is basically why Robert E. Lee was a shit general and why he was not a good general. And this myth around him that he was a good general.
No, speed it up.
And this myth around him that he was a good general is completely false. Grant and Sherman were much better generals and tacticians than Lee. Lee was horrible, and I'll get into some of that later.
My homie.
But I have to tell people between 1860 and 1865, William Sherman did nothing wrong. After 1865, unfortunately, they all turned their guns on the Native Americans in the West, and they just turned into something just as bad as the Confederacy. I digress.
They're all racist.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother topic. But his book, Why the South Fought the Civil War, and I forgot, it's a long, lengthy title. It's like Why the South Fought the Civil War and Why They Lost, et cetera, whatever. So basically, he breaks it down into debunking the myth of the lost cause. Now, it's a huge myth. There's a number of elements to this myth of the lost cause.
It's just so funny. I'm just briefly. I was just reading the Wikipedia article like earlier today because that shit drives me up the wall. But go ahead.
So the myth of the lost cause is we have a multiple part episode on Civil War that we want to do, but to break it down for you, there's multiple elements within the myth of the lost cause. One, that the South had no chance of winning, and they just did it out of honor, and they did it out of like gentlemanliness and blah blah blah, etc., which is total bullshit. They could have won. All they had to do was play defense. That it goes into why Lee was such a bad general, but they don't want to talk about why Lee was a bad general. All the South had to do was defend. All they had to do was defend the borders, draw the Union in, have a protracted war, just like the Vietnamese did to the Americans, and draw it out. And they could have easily at least gotten a stalemate and made the Union negotiate and et cetera, whatever. They could not have ever invaded the North and it conquered the North like Lee wanted to, because they just did not have the manpower. They did not have they didn't have any of that stuff. But why Lee is like, also the myth, part of the myth is that Lee was a great general. Lee was kind. Lee was nice. and it was Longstreet's fault that why the Confederacy lost at Gettysburg. Longstreet was the traitor. Longstreet was this. Longstreet was bad. And I'll get into why they believe that in a second. But Lee is this God figure that was a brilliant tactician and a great general, et cetera. That's just bullshit. Also, the main thing that they talk about and that they beat home is that the war was not about slavery, which is total bullshit. And I want to add this because a lot of people say this and it's also wrong.
Wait. So you mean it wasn't about states' rights?
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up.
What?
I'm so glad you brought that up. Hold on. I really want everyone to listen to me and hear this because Bone Camper makes a great point. The war was specifically about slavery. And then like you hear liberals and you hear people say like when the Southerners and like other neo-Confederates would be like, it was about states' rights. And they'll be like, oh, it was the states' rights to do what? And they'll be like, sad face. That's also false. No, that's also false.
Yeah, trust me.
Why that's false. Hold on. Why that's false. And Bone Camper makes this great point is that the war was not about states' rights. The war was not about anything else but protecting and expanding the institution of slavery. Why? Because the last Fugitive Slave Act in the 1850s, the South lobbied the North so heavily, and because the South had this massive block of senators and congressmen, and they dominated U.S. politics because once you get in the office as a Southern politician, you're going to be in there till you die, and the Senate and a lot of times this prestige, and the longer you stay in there, the more powerful positions you get. So like the Southern Bloc has controlled U.S. politics for a very long time. And because of that, they fought so hard to get the federal government to make the northern states return any fugitive slave that tried to run away. So the South in general did not give a shit about the states' rights of the North when it came for them saying, hey, we don't believe in slavery. So when these fugitive slaves come to our property, we don't have slavery. So fuck what the Supreme Court says. It's our state's right to say that they should be able to stay here. And the South said, no, fuck you. That's our property. Hey, federal government, please step in on the North's rights to have their own little thing and keep the fugitive slaves when it's our right to have our property returned. So I know it's kind of confusing, but what I'm saying is that the South did not care about states' rights because the North said, we want to keep these slaves that have run away and are now free because we don't have slavery. So technically they're still free. The South said, no, fuck you, federal government, intrude on their states' rights so we can have our slaves back. So the South never, ever, ever cared about states' rights. They only cared about slavery, that institution, and expanding it. And one part in the book that I found extremely insane was that the price of a slave in Mississippi at the height of slavery in the 1850s, the amount of slaves that were in Mississippi were worth more than the cotton that was being produced in Mississippi. And I was like, what the fuck? Because you have this institution of slavery that has now become more profitable than the actual commodity that they were shipped over, that they were stolen and brought over here and enslaved for. And so it's just like the slaves are now worth more than the cotton. So it's like mind blown. So definitely check out Bone Kemper and his books because he really, really breaks it down with like facts. He destroys you with facts and logic. like he goes into census, he goes into data, like the cost of slaves, the cost of cotton, like breaks down like firsthand accounts of like all these Confederate politicians and all these Southern politicians, like basically saying, hey, the war's about slavery. And then they lose and they're like, oh shit, we got to come up with something else because we fucked up.
At the very end, do you want to send us some links to some of the books and other?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll totally post it up. Because I would like to read a lot of those. I like a lot of that history there. Also, because my father's family factually, like we have a Bible with the family tree from when the Mayflower came over, and like all the genocidal fuck faces in between then and now. A lot of that's my bloodline.
Things black people don't have.
Yeah, you know, my reparations are way high.
Yeah, same.
Unrelated. Is it cool if I step away for a second? I just got an email that my son is having heart palpitations
Holy shit.
and a fever.
Take care of
So,
that shit.
Can I just take a second?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's 7. And it's like,
Yeah.
and he's in Arizona, so this kind of freaks me out. I'm going there on the 5th.
Man.
Yeah.
I gotta check on the
Yeah.
wombat. All right, I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Family first.
Yeah, no.
But I do want to say real quick. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, basically what you were saying is that black people should be worth less than cotton. I got you.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh, shut up, Tommy.
That's
No, that's exactly
how dare those niggers be worth more than
my
that bale of cotton? No,
shut up. You get what I'm saying? It's just like you stole people from Africa, you enslaved them and made them pick the cotton, and the slaves are worth more than the cotton. I'm just like, what?
Well,
that doesn't. So it's just like, obviously, it wasn't about taxes and tariffs on the cotton, because the slaves, that industry in and of itself, is now more popular and bigger and more profitable than the cotton. So they really didn't give a shit about the cotton coming in and out of New Orleans, this whole like Fort Sumter, blah, 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 tax and tariffs bullshit. Fuck that. They didn't give a shit. They were making more money off the slaves than they were the cotton. So,
well, an interesting nexus of history here is the invention of the cotton gin. Because slavery was actually... it was coming to a point where it was too expensive, right? But then the cotton gin was...
fucked us all over.
That motherfucker is what
kept
it going.
That's also a part of the myth of the lost cause, is like when Southerners say, well, it was a dying I'm talking post cotton gin. So obviously the cotton gin made cotton more profitable. But what Southerners try to say is that, slavery was a dying institution and would have died out on its own. No, it wouldn't have. And he goes into great detail of like just saying that slaves were more profitable than the cotton. So this industry was booming, and it would have morphed. And they had plans. Obviously, the Confederacy had plans to move into South and Central America after the war, and invade and take over and set up this like tropical empire. But they had already had plans in Virginia where industry was growing. You had factories that they were leasing slaves into these factories to work, and they were starting. I think what would have happened, like coal mining, for instance, was starting to come up, and like you in the South, and like you see this is like it just would have morphed into, okay, we're going to take some slaves out of the fields and put them in factories and put them in mines and put them in other type of working situations. Like it wasn't just centered around farming and agriculture. Yeah, that was the biggest market, but eventually, like what we would have known as the boll weevil would have come in and wiped out the cotton plantation. So, and wiped out cotton. So like what would have happened is you'd have millions of slaves in the South. So all they would have done is move them from the fields into the factories and into the mines. And it was a growing, prosperous industry. So to say that it was a dying industry is a complete and utter myth that is embodied in this myth of the lost cause.
Well, they got fucking the 13th Amendment anyway, where they could not even have to pay the slaves, and they just threw them in jail.
Yeah.
And they just got free labor. So I mean, and that's why we still have obviously the legacy today with
the private prisons and
Jesus, what's the
prisons in
percentage?
general? Yeah,
I don't even remember.
We have the highest percentage of per capita incarcerated people in the world.
Percentage of black people in prison as compared to.
Oh God, it's as a percentage as a whole, it's ridiculously skewed. Like black people make up like 14% of the population, 14, but some ungodly amount of the prison system. You're not going to tell me that it's it's racist. Like it's obviously built on the enslavement of the African.
But then they try it. Well, the black people must be innately more criminal, of course, and then it's a whole feedback loop. They just keep well, of course, slavery was necessary, and it's a reinforcing mechanism. Of course, policing is part of that whole fucking situation. I mean, have you ever read The End of Policing? That's actually an interesting.
I keep hearing about that book, and I really need to hear it. I've heard a number of people say that I need to read that book.
We actually had him on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
it's not just about what we can do to kind of what would be a post-policing society would look like, but also kind of the history of where policing in this country came from. And a lot of it was, I mean, of course, I think Pittsburgh was originally where it started, the first modern police force. But in a historical sense, people were used to capture runaway slaves. So
sheriff's departments the sheriff's department and the police force in general, like, developed from slave catchers. Like, I was talking to somebody actually on Facebook recently and was telling me about that book, but apparently, like, sheriff's departments in the South sprung up mostly as they were before the end of slavery, they were slave catchers, and they morph into what we know as, like, the modern day sheriff's department and the police force. Police have come from two things. They come from they're strike breakers and they're slave catchers. That's what they are. That's what they were. That's what their main focus was.
The official, I guess, police force, quote unquote, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, like up in Massachusetts in the late 1800s, and it was basically breaking up unions and enforcing people being people's property. And basically anybody who wasn't the rich white man at the time can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, they would deputize Klansmen and just,
Oh yeah. It should not be a surprise to anybody that we see, like, I mean, we see cops basically executing black people for funsies is basically what it boils down to. He had a hoodie. He had Skittles. I smelled weed. He was running. He was coming at me. No, he wasn't. He was following orders. Like, it doesn't fucking matter what anybody does. Like,
white people smoke just as much weed as black people, but black people get arrested at triple the rate.
Absolutely.
It's even worse. Jesus.
I mean, I mean it.
And the fact that
white communities and shit.
You get more time for crack than you do for cocaine.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's the Khalif Browder story. It takes place up in New York, and it involves Rikers Island. Basically, it's this black guy who is just walking home one night, just doing his thing, and police pull up in a car, and apparently, like, somebody had been, like, had their their bag snatched, backpack, purse, whatever, and he had absolutely nothing to do with it. Wasn't there, wrong person, wrong time. Like, it would be like you and I getting accused for it right now, anybody. And the person in the car was like, yeah, that's him. And so they arrested him. And this dude proceeded, who literally was not even there involved, no evidence for him whatsoever, zero, spent the next 3.5, 4 years in solitary confinement, in and out of Rikers, like in Rikers, in and out of solitary, inside of Rikers, and was the case that was so fucking like, mind you. And what people don't understand is when you've been arrested and you're being held, and let's say you get bond. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people right now who are in jail, who have been given bail or bond, but cannot pay it, and it's less than $1,000. So what
bond
that means?
That whole system is racist, anyways. Classist.
Absolutely. Like, here's the thing: if I sit there and say, "Death metal god, you can be released. You're fit to be released. Just give me your $1,000," and you don't have $1,000, I shouldn't fucking keep you there, because the fact of the matter is that I have deemed that you are not an imminent risk to society. You are not a flight risk. You are not this, not that. The only difference between you walking out and going on with your life and having to deal with this, or sitting in a prison cell of sorts, jail, is whether or not you have the financial means. And there are more people than not in our prison system, jail system right now, that sit there, that are literally there either because they can't pay a fucking bond or bail because they are poor, or they are poor enough to not afford any real sort of fucking defense or any sort of attorney that can defend them. And I mean, just look today. Michael Cohen is getting released from fucking prison to go serve the rest of his term in his fucking home. Like, there are people who have done objectively less, sitting there and doing nothing but smoking fucking pot on their porch, if that, and getting like 7 years in fucking jail. I know friends that have spent almost 3 years in fucking jail for having a roach in their car in Phoenix. Now, I digress. The point is no, never. I never digress. I am laser accuracy. I mean, the whole justice system is garbage. If you don't know that, we can give you plenty of resources.
I'm sure he could.
I'm sure he knows. The Khalif Browder story, I won't spoil the ending and the rest of it, but it is the thing that actually
we're not supposed to spoil it because I already know it.
No. Do you know it?
Is that the kid who killed himself?
He killed himself.
He did kill himself.
Yeah.
And then they were going to close Rikers.
Or something.
And then
they were
going
talking about closing Rikers Island.
Yeah, but apparently in the last 6 to 9 months, they're like, okay, we're really going to do it. But there was a whole big hubbub before and after he killed himself, which, like, Cory Booker it makes an appearance, and there are a lot of different people, a lot of different politicians make an appearance. So it's just interesting that it's taking, like, right now, if a brown person, black person went in and did something, it would be like $1 trillion war a year for the next 40 years. Like, an entire system basically executes people via, like, mental terrorism and extortion and abuse and all these other mechanisms. And everyone's like, I think we could probably take like 8 years. That's cool to close this down. Maybe. Like,
well, I don't know if I believe this.
What?
I'm a good white person and quote MLK, because he was all about peace and stuff. Let me go ahead and whitewash that. But what was it? He said the moral arc of, what is it? The moral arc of the universe always turns towards justice or some shit. Which I never fucking believed any of that shit. But anyway, it's easy to say that. But
ask any nigga in jail.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. But there does seem to be a trend. But the problem is, it's in liberal cities. Like, I know what is it? Is it Chicago? It's not Chicago. Maybe it's San Francisco, of course, who's trying to put an end to the bail bond system or whatever. Because for that very reason, you can't if you can't post bond, you're fucked. You're stuck in there till your court date, right? And then even then, you got a shitty fucking and God bless. I'm an atheist, but God bless fucking public defenders. Let me tell you, they don't fucking. They get all these cases. They don't have a choice. They take them and they. I mean. And this is what pisses me. Okay, this is another thing that pisses me off, is that people always want to shit on, like, well, we get shitty public defenders. Okay, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take your silly ass. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your silly ass down there, try to take on a caseload from hell. You're already probably not getting paid shit anyway, right? And then I want you to handle all the big stack of fucking cases you got.
Do you know what the average is for a caseload for a single
Actually,
PD?
No.
I do. It's between 650 and 700 cases a year. A year.
Okay, so...
How many days are there in a year, Chris?
Yeah, it's... Let's do a little simple math here, shall we? I mean, it's like, what, it's
basically 2 cases a fucking day, almost.
Yeah, right.
And so... Now, Chris, you've been arrested for a minor infraction, but, the man needs its fucking pound of flesh. Do you believe that you could get, even with the public defender that our unequal bullshit tax system affords you, do you think you can get, even for a minor infraction, decent representation with somebody who literally has slightly less than 1 caseload per day to spare to you?
I mean, even if they didn't, I wouldn't fucking blame it on them.
They don't.
Unless you're just this is another, well, they're incompetent. No, you fucking overload anybody and they fucking.
But you know what? Here's the thing. And like, I've heard this argument where people talk about prosecutors, which they are state people, all this stuff. And they're like, well, they have a lot of cases. But you know what? They can sit on their ass and choose when they want to take them. They can sit there and be like, you know what, this guy Chris, he stole the Snickers bar. But you know what? We're going to take 9 fucking years to figure that out because the statute of limitations is 9.1. And we're going to take our time and build that case. And we're not worried about the truth. We want to get the win because that means I get my fucking election, my employment, all this other stuff. So we're just going to take our sweet fucking time to build that.
That's why I never would in a million years vote for Kamala Harris because she's nothing but
she's a fucking cop. Like, above all things, like, cool. She's not white. Amazing. She's not a dude. Fucking great. You know what she is? She's a fucking cop.
Truancy. She threw parents in jail for truancy. That's fucking ridiculous.
No, I'm sorry. And I'm sure somewhere out there is a fucking cop that is like a decent fucking person. And like, my hat tips to you, but leave your fucking
cops. Not all cops, man.
No, all the fucking cops. As
Not
long
all
as,
pigs, man.
like, I mean, as a person, like, if you met them at a party, you'd probably be like, they're all right. But you know what? You'd find out they're a cop and you'd be like, that person has questionable fucking, like, values as a human. Because going in at this fucking point, with the age of information, we all know that cops, beat people, extort people, protect corporate interests. And if you're not fucking white, God help you. Because at the end of the day, what they seize funds their fucking precinct, their station, all that stuff. And the better they make their fucking superiors look, the more likely they are to get promoted. So at the end of the day, unless somebody has like literally a fucking hatchet at my door, fuck that, because I can deal with a hatchet, a gun at my door, I'm not calling the popo. Like, why would I? Because I've had personal experiences where I was not the aggressor. I was not the problem. And yet I got arrested along with the other person. And they were like, well, I didn't see it happen, but so they fine you $150. They put you through the ringer, like whatever, and they don't put you in jail, but they make their fucking money. It is not a system that is worried about justice or fairness or protecting or serving. It is a system that is, for lack of a better term, it's paramilitary.
So, as you see, we are not a cop-friendly show, as I had told you earlier.
If you are a cop, quit your job.
My mom was a cop. I'll say that.
Did she quit her job?
She retired. But fuck the police, though.
Do you tell her that to her face, sir?
You know what? I love my dad, R.I.P. He lived in Buffalo, New York, born in 1939. He was not an overt racist, but he certainly was, and a bigot. And it's okay to call your parents on their bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't get a fucking free pass.
I know I was being.
I know, but a lot of people don't, so it's worth saying. A lot of people are like, it's my blood.
Well, yeah, what did you say, Tommy?
So I will say this: a lot, and this happens a lot to Black people, and it does happen with public defenders. But a lot of people get pushed, especially if they're innocent of a crime or whatever. They get pushed into taking a plea deal. They plead guilty, and once you plead guilty, you're fucked. Like you can't do shit about it. They come out and find out you're innocent or whatever. Get exonerating evidence. It doesn't fucking matter. You pled guilty. You're done. You're fucking done. You
know what's funny? My stepfather is a retired Superior Court judge in Arizona, which is ironic and funny. He was an assistant DA. He was a judge for a fucking long time. And to this day, if I had him sitting here right now, I'd be like, hey, like, what do you think of the justice system? He'd be like, there's laws for the rich, there are laws for the poor, and fuck all of them. Like, he is hard left. And he served on the system. And I think that's honestly what took him there. Because he saw how fucked up it was. And he was like,
well, that's usually what happens, right? Somebody who's in the system, whatever you're talking about. I mean, like the hardest core atheists are like used to be deep deep Christians or whatever, like super,
Now, not to switch too far off the tracks,
what's on
Nelson, and I keep seeing Death Metal God, but I'll just keep calling you that.
My name is Tommy. You can call me
Tommy.
Yeah.
You can call him Tom by his name.
I get very distracted. I get very distracted. So I love these little name tags. So it's not cool that it doesn't have Tommy on there. And I got a lot on my mind. But
you can call me name Tommy.
I'll just call you Death God. Number 5.
God.
So are you guys both? I assume you're.
What is he?
I assume you're both. Are you guys both active in the atheist community and stuff like that, or just kind of part of like atheist, but not really involved?
I am very active in the atheist community. I'm a full-on atheist. Have been since Nelson and I were in Catholic school.
Oh, you were in Catholic.
Wait, hold on. How do you guys know each other? Let's take it back.
We're
gonna take way back. So what happened was
wait. No. Let me tell this story. Okay. So no. Nelson's a really cool guy. We were actually in band together, and Nelson's the drum major. He was the drum major. He played clarinet and graduated to drum major. He's a very good drum major. But and we actually had our own little like leftist atheist community. Like it was just us and like maybe 3 or 4 other people, and we were always outcast anyway. But yeah, it was super weird. It was like we were the only ones at the school not sipping the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Nelson, what do you have to say?
So you're both Catholic.
I ended up.
No.
Carry on.
No.
Okay, so yeah, so Tommy, so basically, okay, it's like I'll totally admit, like I was reading this the other day. I was like, it's not what class you grew up in; it's with what class you fight for and organize for and relate to. So I'll be perfectly honest. I grew up in a good upper middle class family. My parents made good money. Montgomery school system suck, and so around in middle school, my parents were like, "Are you going to go to Catholic?" My dad graduated from Catholic High in Montgomery and went to Catholic school his entire life, and they were like, "Are you going to go to Catholic school?" And I was like, I had a lot of friends already from like church and whatever that already went to Catholic school, so I had people that I knew, but so I ended up I went to Catholic school, and I guess like. My mom is like, she like doesn't go to mass anymore, whatever. My dad is like Mel Gibson Catholic, like super, super, super Catholic, like very reactionary, but very, very, very like when I say Mel Gibson,
says,
yeah,
raped by a pack of niggers, kind of Mel Gibson.
No, that's not.
No. His dad is pretty cool. I love his dad.
When I say like Mel Gibson Catholic, he hates what is known as Vatican II Council when the church reformed in the 60s and became more mainstream. He hates that. He misses. He misses like Vatican I. He's like Opus Dei, misses like Vatican I, where everything's in Latin. The priest didn't space the altar. Yeah, so my dad, real quick, my dad hates Vatican II Council. He misses the days where priests faced the altar. Everything was in Latin. There's a lot of chanting and incense and blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Yeah, he misses the good old days of the Catholic Church. And so I figured that it was all bullshit at a very early age. Also, my parish priest ended up, not so funny story. He turned out to be one of those priests. And I always knew I didn't want to be an altar boy. And so the Archbishop it was St. Peter's. So the Archbishop came to church one day in a meeting with the parents. And he was like, well, Father Sherlock's not going to be here anymore. He had to go away because there's accusations about him when he was in a parish in North Carolina. And ironically enough, I don't even know what the term is. It's really sad. Is that the week before he had given this homily about how those pedophile priests are disgusting and people call him up and stares a pedophile and they hang up, and he like gave this like impassionate thing. Like a week later, it turns out he was actually one of those people. But so that like a number of things like turned me off. Yeah, a lot of things like turned me off to the Catholic Church. I was like, this is bullshit. So towards the end, like when I'm 18, the only reason I actually went to church was to play bass in the Life Team band. And when I went to college,
as one does,
I stopped going. I think Tommy can relate to this. Like we had a religion teacher, Mr. Yellow, and he ended up saying that like it was like I don't know if he said it or like someone else says like you take his class and you either become like more Catholic, or you become an atheist, and like we definitely like became like agnostic atheists because that class was
like a couple of times for just saying.
I ended up drawing
shit.
I ended up drawing a hammer and sickle on the
class in church.
Let me tell you how I got kicked out of class. So we were talking about something, and I was like, you want to know how to solve the fossil fuel problem? Just grind up all the old people and dump them in the ground.
Nice.
Yeah, they didn't like that too much. But what's crazy about going to Catholic school, and I thank the God that I don't believe in every single day that I had that experience, because I firmly believe the Bible is the Bible's worst enemy. And they teach you like everything about it. Like, oh, this is how this was made. And the Bible was made by a bunch of people who didn't know what the fuck that they were doing. And they came up together and put all this like, and when you hear it all, you're like, oh man, this shit is fucking stupid. And it doesn't make any sense at all. But some people just eat it up. They're like, oh yeah, feed me some more of that Catholicism. But it's insane how like you can teach this stuff. You're like, you know what you believe in is just dog shit. Like it doesn't have anything to stand on, and you're like, yeah, this is what it is. Okay, take it or leave it.
You know,
okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Nelson.
No, I was gonna like just go back to the earlier question from Chris. Is like I'm not so much out and about when it comes to religion, and like I honestly don't care about talking about religion, and I don't talk. I'm more inclined to talk politics because you're not going to win over anybody. I have a better shot of winning people over with the politics aspect of things than I do ever with the religion aspect. But like I don't just for like family reasons and for whatnot, just because I don't feel like having that conversation. I'm not really out and about when it comes to like, oh, there is no God, whatever, etc. But I just keep that whole aspect of my life really kind of to myself, unless I'm talking about it on a podcast that I know no one I know is. I mean, like my dad's not going to listen to this, so it's like one of those. It's
a couple of people I'm seeing here.
You know, both.
I blocked him on Facebook because. He like found me like sent me a friend request. I was like, oh shit, God no.
Oh yeah, I blocked the shit out of my mom. Fuck that.
Yeah, I had to block your mom too because your mom thought your mom like found him. Fuck, get this, Tommy.
Oh yeah,
mom...
no. She got on to me about it. So go on, keep going. She
got on to both. Your brother told me about it. So Tommy has a brother named Tony, and that's a whole different story. I love Tony. I was friends with Tony. I was friends with Tony before I met Tommy because Tommy was a grade ahead of us. But
my brother's a Shapiro cook. He loves Shapiro and stats.
He loves Ben Shapiro and statistics and facts and logic. But Tommy's mom and Tony's mom find this meme that Tony made of me back in like high school, and it's when memes used to be like orange and red, like kind of like the Imperial Japan Rising Sun background. Like you'd have like a blurry image, and it'd be like one line, and it was Tommy. You know which meme I'm talking about? Don't call me a racist.
Yeah, it was like don't call me a racist, you nigger, whatever. And
Tony
made
this of me
and posted it on his page and my mom, who finally learned how to use Facebook 20 years later. She was like, "Did you know Nelson had this? I told you that boy is no good." Blah 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 blah. I was like, "Mom, Nelson is like the least racist person I've ever met." Anyway, we got into a big argument about it, but yeah, it was a bunch of bullshit.
Thanks, Tony. You son of a bitch.
So, yeah. Real brief fun fact: both my parents were raised Catholic. Independent of each other, moved out to Arizona, met each other, and decided, we want to have children. What's a good religion? Oh, we know some people that seem wholesome. Let's become part of the Mormon Church.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you were gonna say.
Yeah,
it.
I'm sure you did. did my fish belly day glow complexion give it away? No, like so I know a very good amount about like Catholicism. I had never heard the term. What is it? Second
Second Vatican II
Vatican
Council.
II.
Yeah, I had never heard that before, but I knew all about. It seemed like it was like, okay, well, Bible, guilt, wine, and I was like, okay, but then they were like, growing up as a Mormon, it's like, okay, well, let's just sing our songs and learn all this bullshit. Here's the Book of Mormon, and I'm like, this doesn't even fucking make sense. No caffeine, but you know what's funny is Pepsi is owned by Mormons.
I did
among
not
other
know
fucking
that.
problems. It's true. I mean, maybe it's changed hands in the last like
That's interesting.
35 years.
What I
40
find
years.
interesting is that there are Catholics in the South. There's not many, and they are traditionally not well looked upon, as far as I can recall.
No,
the Klan
they're not.
Initially did
the Klan hated Catholics.
Yeah. The Papists.
No, the Klan still hates Catholics.
Yeah.
They're Papists. They bow to a Roman god.
Yeah.
Is it ignorant generalism to say that the South has a lot of Southern Baptists and?
Well, let me tell you,
Church of Christ.
I grew up as a Southern Baptist, and I ended up going to Catholic school because, like Nelson said, Montgomery public schools were horrible, and that's probably the best education you were going to get for not a lot of money. So,
Tommy went to True Divine Baptist Church.
Oh, I did, and I was super Christian. I was going to be a preacher one day. Like I was really big into the church.
Okay, he's doing the clapping thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. You go in at 8. You go in at 8 in the morning, and you leave at like 5 in the afternoon.
No sir.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
Like 8 to 3.
White churches. White churches suck, okay?
Yeah,
but if you ever want to hear the best musicians and have the best food you've ever had in your entire life, predominantly black Baptist churches.
That is a
best
fact.
musicians, best food.
We used to church hop like in Phoenix because my dad being Catholic and stuff. There were certain areas that he'd be like, "Oh, we'll go to this church." I had no idea what it was. And we'll go to this church. And it was clearly Catholic because stained glass and all this shit. And it was like, you go to the ones that don't have a bunch of white people. And it was pretty hopping. And like,
hopping? Really? Hopping?
Whatever. I'm white. Leave me alone.
It was pretty hopping. Let me tell you, that's groovy.
It was really.
They went a hip hop, boogie.
It was off the chain.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir.
They were the bee's knees.
It was the bee's knees.
Okay, no.
It was the jam.
The jams.
They clapped on beat. Holy shit!
What is this rhythm thing?
They clap like this.
Okay.
We clap like this.
It was weird to me going to a Catholic church and there not being any music other than weird, off-putting chanting.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that because I have
at the beginning of Halo
ceremony. The ceremony is, you have to say, the ceremony in the Catholic Church, if nothing else, is very interesting. It's very beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's very...
The production value is...
Yeah, the production.
It's culty. It's so culty. It's
culty.
How can you not? You can look at it
like practice.
Yeah, it's
like
so
here's what you do. You got your fucking robes. You got the fucking bastards going around for your stuff. No. There's a little bit of like choir. There's a little bit of this. There's the glass, the light, the colors. Like
priest, fucking kids, like all of it.
it is right in line. It is quality.
But it's 45 minutes. It's 45 minutes from start to finish, so you can get in and get out before the kickoff of the Alabama game.
It's still better. A Mormon, seriously, a Mormon Sunday. You show up at 8. You have the initial mass. There are 2.
Oh, do they call it mass? Do Mormons call their services mass?
I honestly can't fucking remember because my brain is so skewed.
It ain't mass.
It's something else. So you're there for about 45 minutes. Then you break off into classes for like 4 fucking hours.
Jesus.
Classes?
Oh yeah. Okay. So if you're a dude, but you're a little dude, and so
that's
you
always
go.
you. So.
Yeah, you go to primary. And primary is like, the general Cain and Abel, blah, 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 whatever. And there are girls in that. Once you get to be about 13, 14, 15, then the boys start to go to the priesthood and the girls go to the Relief Society. Now, let me tell you the difference. Relief Society starts to tell you about how you need to learn how to can fucking food and sew shit. And the dudes get to learn slowly but surely over a progression up to and leading to 18, 19-ish when you go on your mission, how you have magic hand powers that you can lay hands on somebody and heal. And if you're super good at it and you're really devout, you can gain the next level. You can get enough experience to level up to get eventually your own fucking planet in the afterlife.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. But you don't know that until the end.
No way.
Yeah,
no,
you never heard this?
I shit you not.
No.
Listen,
Mormons,
and you know
you
what?
can control the planet?
Okay.
Awesome.
So when you
Control
go and
planet
become
and
a
your
member
wives.
of the Aaronic
Wife.
priesthood as a young man, you learn that you can do, lay of hands with people and bless people for healing and whatever. And then eventually, I cannot remember this other name because it's never really mentioned, but there is a name for it that is above the Aaronic priesthood. That is like you go from being a wizard to Gandalf. You're kind of like, it's like that. You glow a little bit. You get the robe, whatever. And there's legitimately like wardrobe in ceremonies.
Oh yeah.
And so at that point, hopefully you're married because your whole goal in life is to reproduce. And
Jesus, I know, yeah.
yeah.
Tons
And
of
so
kids.
if you're super awesome, you can heal people, lay of hands, Aaronic priesthood powers, all this stuff. In the end, when you die, if you and the person you marry are sealed, which is like the spiritual, like you're never fucking getting away, like stalker thing going on. Even if you divorce, according to them, if you are sealed, you are still bound together for eternity in heaven.
Jesus.
So, and at that point, if you've got the Aaronic priesthood and you've leveled up and you've done enough, dungeon runs, you've got your experience, you get your own planet, which you are essentially a deity, demigod, overseer, and your spouse, assumptively at the time a woman, because they're super homophobic.
You damn well better be.
Yeah, right. You and your family get to be kind of the overlords of it. They get to join you on your planet. You have godly powers, and every man gets to have their own little planet. So if you follow the rules, reproduce, recruit, and fool enough fucking people, you allegedly get your own planet and get to play God.
Until was it the 70s? Black people were not allowed to be a Mormon, but the prophet had a revelation or something, and all of a sudden, black people. So Tommy, you can be a Mormon now. You're welcome.
Yay! Oh, but see, okay. So let me ask you. So most of what I know about Mormonism comes from South Park, and forgive me.
Exactly.
But
it's not.
I mean,
it's not wrong.
It's not.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how accurate is that? Is it true that the darker your skin, the more evil you are? Or
oh yeah. So
that's the real thing.
So, oh yeah. So
Yeah.
historically,
I'm super bad.
in like the Book of Mormon,
You
there's
black as skin, you full of sin.
Have you ever read the Book of Mormon?
Sin.
No, they don't sell that around here.
I bet not.
There's a Mormon. There's a Mormon church in town. There's a Jesus Christ
No,
Latter-day Saint.
no, there's not. Get the fuck out of
In
here.
major
Yeah,
cities,
It's across from the south.
I
It's across from the
guarantee-
southeast. It's across from the southeast. Why?
there's
Dude,
only
I'm
in
going
major
there.
cities.
I
there's
guarantee you there is an LDS. Latter-day Saints is what they go by.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an
So
I knew a Mormon guy.
Okay.
There's Jehovah's Witnesses, too.
Another question. So, okay. So is it true? Okay. Do all Mormons are all Mormons polygamous, or is it only a certain sex?
Okay, so going back to the 1800s, it was not acceptable, and then the Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and all that stuff. It was kind of like, hey, we're going to be polygamous, but then there were, with the people that surrounded them, not them specifically, and over time, it is not widely accepted. Like if I right now was like, because technically on their books, I'm a card-carrying Mormon. So you all get to hang out on my planet.
You
so
have to
Oh,
actually
yeah.
send them a fucking mail letter.
You have to formally
tell
get
them.
them to remove you from their records. But to answer your question, no. Polygamy is not mainstream. If somebody is a polygamist and they find out, or any of that shit goes on, the church will exile them. But there is a small little sect outside of mainstream Mormonism that has a name that I cannot remember, that consider themselves Mormon, but the Mormon Church officially denounces them. Although they were
FLDS.
pretty cool with it for a long time.
FLDS,
Gotcha.
there's a lot of those. The fundamentalists.
Yeah.
They're all fucking whack jobs.
Yeah,
Like,
they're whack jobs.
I mean, let's be honest. If you want an interesting little moment, like, to answer your first question, the dark skin thing in the Book of Mormon, there's a story about the Lamanites, which basically talks about essentially TLDR without the poor writing. The white people got a message from God that said, if the Lamanites live righteously, blah, 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 blah. Dark skin has to do with the more they sin, the darker their skin. And so they slaughtered a fuck ton of Native Americans because Mormon.
Right.
Yeah. So historically, Mormonism is extraordinarily racist, like unapologetically. Now they're like, well, all this stuff was like, I don't know, like Israel. And you're like, so you were killing Jews. And they're like, well, we don't know. I don't know, and nobody has good answers to this stuff. But at the end of the day, mainstream Mormonism is more accepting, in quotes, of gay people.
Really?
A little bit. I know I've known 3 gay people that were Mormon, and now they were Mormon before they were gay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like closet gays count, but
no. Like openly gay, and I know some people that have been Mormon that I don't know a Mormon person that like. How old are you?
Me, I'm 30.
Okay,
Jesus.
I'm 38, and so in our generation, like the span and prior, it's fine. Like our parents' generation, it would not fly with most people, but it's becoming a little more reformed in that way. I can say I knew precisely one black woman and her child whose father had died in the Gulf War in the 90s. That was Mormon. There's not a lot of black people in Mormonism.
Well, would you want to be?
Fuck. Listen, like,
because it's in your holy book that black people suck. Why would the fuck would you want to be in it?
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and plug this. Have you listened to Scathing Atheists?
Oh yeah.
So have you heard them read the Book of Mormon?
I haven't. I have not.
You should go back. It ended last year, and so between I want to say 2017 and the early 2019, they did chapters of the Book of Mormon, like acted out skits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I highly recommend it because it's a really great TLDR. Like, I don't want to waste my time. It's accurate. As somebody who grew up with it and I listened to it, I was like, this is accurate.
All right, so your boy. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say yeah. Nelson's like laptop
Your
died.
boy Nelson apparently isn't a very good podcaster because his ass can't keep his battery charged.
Why don't you got the AC adapter, Nelson?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You're not very well prepared. You're not going to be a professional podcaster doing this shit.
He's not. He's just.
That's amateur. That's amateur hour, man. Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna take it off the serious note. Tommy,
Yo.
death metal god.
Yes.
What are your top 5 bands that, in no particular order, that you would say of all time?
Ooh.
Or you
Definitely Job for Cowboy. That's actually how I got started.
I don't know that.
Really? They actually are from Arizona.
Are they fucking really? Like, what
Yes,
year?
they are.
What's the name?
Back in like 05. Yeah, 05.
I probably played with them. I played with so many fucking metal bands.
Oh, really? You
I
played?
used to
Yeah.
be in a band. Oh yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
You'll have to send me some link. We'll have to friend up on Facebook so you can send me
We
links.
should.
Carry on.
Let's see. Favorites. It's hard. It used to be Between the Buried and Me. Like they had like a really couple good albums. Their first 2 albums are really, really good. Alaska and The Silent Circus, really good albums. Oh, and Colors, their 3rd album is also really good. Who else? Oh, The Faceless. The Faceless are one of my favorites.
Do you exclusively like metal, or do you like a wide array of stuff?
Yeah, I like a wide array of stuff. Mostly metal, but I dabble in a lot. Anything but like polka.
I mean,
Fuck you
hats
hating on
off to
polka
people that
for,
can play
man?
the accordion.
Oh, hey, to each their own. What about you, man?
So being 38, I grew up cutting my teeth on like hair metal.
Oh yeah.
My mom listened to a lot of Motown. Now she's first generation U.S. Her parents left Germany because her dad was German, her mom was Swedish. They were escaping, like him getting roped into being a Nazi.
Escaped.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, that's
they were
cool.
like,
At least they got out.
right? At least he wasn't a Nazi. I mean, maybe my grandfather was. Who knows?
Yeah,
My great
better than Pope Benedict, that bitch. But
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
So, in no particular order, if I had to pick 5 bands with my feet to the fire, I would put Queen.
Love, dude. Freddie Mercury is the greatest singer of all time, like hands down. Soundgarden, yes.
Nirvana is really what spoke to me coming out of the hair band thing in the 80s to 90s.
That's like one of Nelson's favorites for sure. Yeah.
Oh, dude. It's so good. Let's see. 2 more. I would say, spanning the genres that I like, I really like David Bowie.
Yes.
Bowie is like everything, dude.
He is.
Oh yeah.
He's covered every genre just about.
And I really like 9 Inch Nails a lot. Metal bands, which I think kind of get their own category because there's like 9 million subgenres.
Yes, there are.
As a whole, I almost count Led Zeppelin as precursor metal.
That's maybe proto metal.
Pushing it.
They're definitely very prog, and it's pretty much yeah. I like them.
But true metal, like I like early Metallica a lot.
Yeah.
Like Black Album before. Anything after that, with the exception of a couple covers that I had tapes of when I was a kid, like Bread Fan and stuff like that, which came out later. You're muted, sir.
What was that?
Early Metallica I dig. I like
yes.
Pantera. I didn't know about the whole I mean,
oh look, I like Pantera too. Okay, until there's nothing wrong with liking them until you find out that they're kind of dirgy and racist. Yeah.
Like, I started listening to them when Vulgar Display of Power and Great Southern
Yes, that is the best album. Oh,
which I had, like, I was pretty young, so I didn't know about the whole, like, whatever. I just knew it was fucking music and I liked it.
right.
Let's see. I kind of dig Fear Factory.
Oh yeah, Fear Factory is pretty good. Yeah,
They're not bad. They're pretty good.
they remind me a lot of Static X.
They do. Minus the pedophile.
Yeah.
But whatever. Like, if we're putting everything else aside, like the music, yeah, Fear Factory is cool. I don't know. And I might get a lot of shit for this, but like, I do dig some of the earlier and mid-career Slipknot stuff because I like the lyrics. I like the lyrics. I like the melody.
No, he lyrics are pretty dope. Joey Jordison is a fantastic drummer.
He's a bad.
Yeah, that's about
I'm one of those people that listen. That it's a big lyric person, but I also like the rhythm and the melody. Like, I'm not just like, this band's good. Like, I have things I do and don't like even about the Beatles. Like,
See, I'm more of a King Crimson kind of guy.
King Crimson, baby. What? Did you say King Crimson?
King Crimson.
Holy
King
shit.
Crimson.
Let's pass it to Chris.
For one thing, it's very rare to hear somebody like King Crimson. Secondly, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's very rare for a black guy to like King Crimson.
Dude, okay. King Crimson, so that's the king of Prague. Like, love some King Crimson.
I was just listening to some King Crimson the other day.
I respect them a lot as musicians. I like their music, but it probably wouldn't be something that I would just pop on in the middle of like driving to pick up the kids or something.
Well, it's not meant for that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like when you're having an existential crisis, as I'm sure as atheists you guys do, you just pop on some King Crimson and just
circa
try not to kill yourself. Yeah.
I'm 45, so I'm in a midlife crisis. So.
But I do listen to a lot of like, I guess what people would call, I never called it this, but like, I guess emo. Like, I don't even know fully what that is.
I don't know what that. I've never understood.
Like Sky Eats Airplanes and Greeley Estates, that kind of stuff. Or you talking about like pre that, like My Chemical Romance kind of thing.
Like, I dig Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. That's a cool album. I saw them live for that. But
nice.
Like right now, like my fiance is really into like the emo punk pop stuff, like going back into the 90s because she's only a year and a half younger than I am.
So, okay, yeah. Like 4 Years Strong.
Yeah, 4 Years Strong and like
A Day to Remember.
Blink-182. Her two favorite bands that I know of that I learned about was Motor City Soundtrack.
Yeah.
And the Wonder Years.
Okay, yeah.
They're super fucking good. But I also like a lot of hip hop too, like going back to like, NWA, Pac, like all the 80s, 90s stuff. The most current thing that I can get, that I'm not gonna go and say that I like as a whole, but I like some of. I think Machine Gun Kelly has some decent tracks. But
I like that one. I couldn't stop listening to it. Was the Eminem diss track?
Yeah, that's a pretty good track.
I love that shit. I can't help it. It's so silly and childish, but it's funny.
Yeah, there's another track called Floor 13 that's pretty decent. Some of it's like overtly poppy and just blah, but
yeah. When it comes to rap and hip hop, I can't stand auto-tune. That auto-tune, like ghetto singing, like I can't fucking stand that shit.
An example of it, because I hear it from like in different extremes, like how it's used.
It's just all bad. It's just all
they're all doing that. It's not just
everybody.
I can't.
Like if you're like rap auto tune, like why? What is the fucking point? And just it's just trash. I don't like it at all. But I do like a guy that Nelson actually put me on, which is weird. But Immortal Technique.
Dude, Immortal Technique is my dude.
Yes,
I know his records intimately.
Who's Tyler? Hold up.
Tyler is a part of Dixie Pro Podcast. Shout out to Tyler. Fuck the police. Anyway,
Immortal. Yeah. Chris, if you haven't listened to Immortal Technique, I will send you some.
Dude, that is some good shit.
Like
that is some good shit.
I think for a leftist, the first one I would give is that track called Third World.
Yeah. Third World. Yeah. And and as an atheist, Creation and Destruction off that first album. It's like the first song off that first album. Yeah. But
okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna stop the music.
Okay. We'll stop talking about music.
We're at a couple of hours, but I did before we and fuck Nelson. I just wanted to say fuck Nelson.
Love you, Nelson.
Okay. We gotta get into politics real quick.
Do it.
So Trump 2020 or 2020, yeah, 2020. All in mega.
He's definitely gonna win because Joe Biden is a piece of senile shit. So
yeah, let's talk about this. Yeah. Let's talk about the specific thing. So there are those who want to get on the don't vote anything bandwagon. And if you're in a red state, that might make it, I might be able to deal with that a little better. Like in Alabama and Tennessee, you're not getting, it doesn't matter who you vote for, really. You could vote for my left nut. I don't think it'd fucking matter, but.
It doesn't.
But as a matter of principle, I don't like Joe Biden as a person or a candidate, but I don't understand this. Like some people are talking about voting Green Party, and I just don't. I have a problem with the Green Party mostly because they seem to only come to light when it's time for a presidential election. I never hear of them any other time. They're not like at the local level that I've seen or anything like that. What is your take on that, Tommy?
This is honestly something I've been struggling with myself because as a person who I said I wasn't going to vote, not because of anything, but to just fuck the DNC, and fuck everything that they've done. It's just in these past, 3 elections have just been fucking egregious. I am a Bernie supporter, Bernie all the way. But I already know Joe Biden's going to lose. He's going to lose no matter what. They've tried this back in 2016, run a corporatist candidate against Donald Trump, who's a faux populist, who is really fucking good at messaging. Really fucking good. Whether you like him or not, the guy can run a fucking campaign, period. He will out shit talk anybody. Well, yeah, I think people just like a villain. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck.
It's not like he's playing 3D chess. It's like
no.
Come on.
No, he's just not even at the game. That's the point. He's not playing. That's the point. But I agree with what you're saying. Like it is kind of fucked up and selfish to be that way. But it's just at some point. What kind of protest can we do to say like stop? The primary system is fucking stupid. And just everything about it is fucking stupid. The way Democrats run, pretty much everything is just fucking stupid. Democrats are weak in general, just fucking pussies. They don't do shit. They holler hallelujah whenever they get like they'll scream, "Oh man, we worked together with Republicans to get nothing we wanted," and they'll just say like, "Oh yeah, we look at what we did." absolutely dog shit. We gave the Republicans everything that they wanted, and we got maybe half of a thing. And they're like, oh, yeah. And that's all Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is nothing but Joe Biden has literally said that he is not going to change anything. Like, if Joe Biden does win by some crazy miracle, nothing is going to fucking change at all. Nothing at all.
So,
And if nothing is going to change, just, fuck it.
so I don't disagree. I don't want Joe Biden. I volunteered for Bernie for about a year this election, and almost 2 years the last one, leading up to, and then all the way up to the after the primaries when he dropped out. What is that, year and a quarter, year and a half, whatever. So from my point of view, I don't disagree with you on the DNC, but my only thing that I struggle with is if we want, like, we all kind of agree that we want some form of progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be like in the right direction. And Biden's not going to be the guy that's going to like usher that in. And that's like, if it does, like, I'll renounce my fucking atheism. But at the end of the day,
Hold up, bro. Let's calm down a little bit.
no. It's like, at the end of the day, like, if like we don't want Trump, we don't want Biden, but there are things about Trump specifically with, well, I guess you could say part of it's the GOP, like their willingness to be in bed with evangelicals to a point, fucking just lunatic whack jobs into federal appointments in the judgeships, whether it's just regular federal judges or the SCOTUS and stuff like that, that objectively would put us at a permanent disadvantage at best. Worst case, zero room for any kind of reform or progressiveness.
Okay.
We kind of have to make sure the worst case scenario doesn't happen, so we have a chance at having progressiveness in the future and making progress. So, things like Chevron deference, things like that don't get rolled back, which would enable the SCOTUS to essentially interpret laws as opposed, and what they do
I
as
think
opposed to deferring it.
SCOTUS is important. I think not just SCOTUS, but the federal judge system in general, because they also do that. And McConnell's racing to get all those fucking things filled in their lifetime appointments too. So that's what I worry about. And because come on, Trump's objectively garbage. I mean, that's not the question.
Agreed.
But is Biden? I don't like the argument that somehow Biden is they're the same, right? To me, that's just a fucking false equivalency, and I don't think it's even helpful to say that. Now, if you're in this, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Fiscal. Well, no, wait a minute. When it comes to fiscal policies, you might have an argument for me. I mean, no argument. But social policies, come on.
Really? Like integrated busing and how Joe Biden stands by not integrating busing. Like, I mean, Joe Biden is not the guy that raved about working with Strom Thurmond. Like, oh man, Strom Thurmond.
Don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of the stuff that a vast majority of fucking politicians have done over the last, like, let's just say like 60 years is fucking outrageous by our standards. Like, we're generations that did not grow up in that. And when you were born in what, like 88?
90.
90? Okay. So I was born in 82. So we both grew up in a time that was like the downfall of the middle class and this hyper, like, corporate prison system, for profit, like, fuck black people and minorities, gay people are spreading AIDS. like I grew up in it more than you did initially, but you experienced the aftermath more than I did because I experienced them marketing it to me. You experienced it as a human being. And so at the end result, like where we are now in 2020, like we both understand in one form or another, like boiled down, that it is objective horseshit that has happened over the last like 60 plus, well, 240 fucking years, right?
Yeah. About partly thanks to Joe Biden's crime bill, but you know,
Sure, like,
just throwing that out there.
but a matter of fact, like as far as the crime bill, and I am fucking not defending it in any sense, like fuck Bill Clinton, fuck all this stuff, is the crime bill that went through under Bill Clinton was originally written, and I can provide this to you as a fact, was written under George W.
Yeah,
But it only got written in and endorsed and signed because it was at the end of the term and there was a new presidency. And they're all good old boys. Like the part where people say they're all the same, there is a modicum of truth where it's like they all have to deal with each other. They're all business partners, so to speak. But at the end of the day, if you look fundamentally across the board, and don't get me wrong, there are fucking problems, is from 1968 to date, the GOP / Republicans, 1968 is when they started getting into bed with the evangelicals. Prior to that, nobody gave a fuck about abortion. Nobody gave a fuck about all this like religious nonsense that we see trying to be put into fucking legislation and stuff. It didn't exist. And what the problem is from that moment forward, mixed with the war on drugs and all this other stuff, is it's been a nonstop roller coaster that has perpetually, from 1983, since the first for-profit prison opened up, to today, has been a nonstop shit show of let's make these laws, but enforce them unequal and unapologetically on poor black people, poor people of color. But, you know, we'll market it in a way to where it makes even poor white people feel like they're superior because they're our voting base. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the rich people versus the poor people. It's class warfare, but if you're even on the lower end of the class, as long as you're not a person of color, you're better off. And it's really pretty fucking genius, like what has been done in the marketing and the PR with that. But fast forward to right now, you look at Trump, who honestly, he's not a fucking Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's whatever gets him the fuck notoriety, attention. He's a fucking sociopath. Like, that's what he is. So we separate him. He's the person who has the star power to pull people in, enough people to get the votes to obtain the power that the same people that started indoctrinating and getting in bed with the evangelicals in 68, the same people that started writing the crime bill, the 90s crime bill, all these people who have some stuff in common because they're all of the same generation. But we fast forward to now. He is the person that will continue that and put 38-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 43-year-olds who are, you know, pray the gay away, like all of these things into lifetime appointments into the judgeships that will determine what your rights are, my rights are, your rights are, everyone's rights are. Like, First Amendment, fuck the First Amendment. It's gone. Like, your right to protest, it's going to be criminalized. It does not fucking matter. Like, all of these things that we think are self-evident, like inherent to the Constitution, they don't fucking matter. The authorities that determine that are going to be stacked for the next fucking 40, 60, 80, 100 years if Trump wins. I don't like fucking Biden. I hope he dies of COVID. I don't care. I hope fucking Trump, who's allegedly taking
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. Take fucking 9, buddy. Like, pray, do whatever you got to do. Just take them. And I hear it's good if you chase them with vodka. It's fine. We're at an impasse here. And it's not a comfortable one for people who have a sense of right and wrong and humanity. But at the end of the day, for me, what I do is I look at the LGBT, I look at the people of color, whether it's south of the border, north of the border, Africa, it doesn't matter. Asia, it doesn't matter to me. Anyone who's not a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, evangelical, like, and in bed with these core ideas of xenophobia, bigotry, and racism, and oligarchy, like, the vote is pretty fucking obvious to me, and it feels fucking bad, and it's not something anyone's proud of. It's not what anyone fucking wants. But if we want a chance past 2024 to be able to have some semblance of fucking anything that we have ever wanted before my time, before your time, before anybody's time, we have to make sure Trump is gone. Because it's not Trump, it's the party.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that.
Let's leave it on that note because we're already fucking nearly 2.5 hours. My ass is tired.
This is a good chat. This is good. This is good.
Oh yeah.
We need to do this more often, actually.
Do this for fun, not streaming. Or maybe streaming.
People are actually watching this. I don't know what the hell's happening.
What? I bet if I post, Chris is gonna take his shirt off if we get to 20 viewers.
I doubt that. Seriously. I seriously doubt that. But I'll take it by your word for it.
Whatever.
All right. Well, Nelson couldn't come back on because he can't get his shit to work. So you can tell him fuck him for me. Tommy.
I will. I definitely will.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everybody where y'all's podcast is and stuff?
It is on Facebook. It's on SoundCloud. Look for Dixie Pro or Dixieland of the Proletariat, and you might just find us.
It's on Twitter too. I saw.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I don't do it.
Yeah, it's at Dixie Prole. I think it is. If you look up the whole name, you'll find it.
Yeah, Nelson will tell you. Nelson, take it away.
What's that, Nelson? What's that? You're a shitty podcaster? What's that? I'm sorry. It's okay, Nelson. You can't be as cool as me. It's okay. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for coming on. Hopefully we can do this again. This is fun. And maybe we can come on y'all's show sometime.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
We'll have to like off the streams and interwebs, like myrtlate people, like play games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lyman's coming on my game podcast.
Yeah.
We might get 3 viewers that week.
4.
Oh yeah.
Do me a favor and tell Nelson to send me those links of that stuff he was talking about.
I will. I'll make sure he does it before he goes camping in the woods. He's going camping in the woods for like 10 days. So
that motherfucker looks like somebody who go camping.
That used to be my life goal. And just get the fuck away from people forever.
All right. Well, take it easy, Tommy and Lyman. Thanks for deciding to show up.
Oh.
We'll close it out with the usual. Until next time, y'all take it easy now, okay?
Bye-bye.